Hi guys, welcome to Play Then Paint, where we dive into games, dig into their inspirations and turn all that chaos into art. Today we're jumping into the Outlast Trials, a game that's as disturbing as it is brilliant. We'll explore some of the real world horrors that might have inspired it, then take that energy to the canvas to create our very own X-Pop, a creature born from fear, imagination and entirely too much coffee. Thanks to ZC or Zacy, I'm sorry if I just pronounced that incorrectly, for the suggestion. This one was a lot of fun to paint and I can't wait to show you, so let's play and then paint. I made my guy and ain't he just the most depressed looking soul you'll ever come across? Which, you know, is fitting considering he's now a test subject in the most messed up version of Total Wipeout you'll ever see. Almost straight away you get this Cold War, dark, gritty aesthetic. There's plenty of body horror too. But the gameplay loop is pretty sweet, man. You run a trial that ranges from killing a snitch, stealing him from under a psychopath's nose and running around trying to find the keys to get him to the execution room, to killing a picket line leader who's locked away in a safe room. I think we might be the bad guys. All the while being hunted by some creepy ass psychopaths. Seriously, props to the art department over at Red Barrels. These guys are scary as shit. I think the puppet lady, Mother Gooseberry, is my favourite, if you can have such a thing as a favourite mass murderer. Though she's closely followed by these two, or one, or two. You get the picture. All the bad guys are brilliantly designed and genuinely unnerving, hiding under desks and in cabinets while these guys stalk the halls as real edge of the seat stuff. I'm no horror game virgin, but I wouldn't say I play a lot of them. Maybe Resident Evil and Silent Hill when I was a kid on the PS2. God, I'm old. But there's something about the atmosphere that the Outlast Trials just nails, from the thud of your heartbeat when the psychos close in to that muted brown palette. It all marries together to create an unsettling experience. And so it was, while hiding from this monstrous pair, that inspiration struck. I figured, let's create our own psycho, or experimental population as they're called in game, complete with that Cold War, emaciated horror vibe that the game does so well. I started with a thumbnail sketch, no more than 30 seconds, just nice and quick to give myself an idea of what the composition will be. A central portrait sat nicely in a 30 by 30 centimetre canvas. I then looked up some medieval torture devices, because he's got to have a gimmick, right? Mother Gooseberry has her puppet, they've got, well, just all of that. And I came across the soy jack, which is as horrifying as it looks, though it's not medieval, but I wanted my X-Pop to have his face on full show. I like painting eyes. So I decided that the soy jack's purpose, the whole eye screws thing, could work as a helmet, with the screw going into the scalp, and then I could name him something cool like, I don't know, Screw Scalp Steve, or Bolt Head Barry, or Copper Hat Jack. And that's got a ring to it. So I set about sketching my concept of Copper Hat Jack's copper hat. Try saying that when you've had a few drinks. And this is what I came up with. As torture device goes, it's got nothing on the soy jack, but it allowed me to paint some insane looking eyes instead of just, you know, holes. With that figured out, I sketched each individual facial feature. Think of this like note taking, it's a stream of consciousness that helps the image coalesce in my mind. Until I ended up with a sheet of sketch paper that looked like this. I wrote Willem Defoe at the top of the page, because I had an idea of these crazy faces that he's capable of, and thought his facial structure would work well with Copper Hat Jack, especially those sharp cheekbones he has. William, if you ever see this, I'm so sorry. With all that sorted, it was time to put together the final concept sketch. Nothing fancy, just all of it sat together in a rough form, and solidify his name. While I refine this sketch on canvas, let's take a look at some of the inspiration behind the Outlast Trials. This is going to get a little dark, so I've put markers down below if you want to skip it. After a bit of digging, I discovered that Red Barrels didn't just conjure scares out of thin air, they leaned heavily on two unsettling real-world experiments just to ratchet up that tension. MK Ultra was a covert program aiming to break people's wills, and it hits every dark corner of the torture playbook. LSD trips so intense you lose track of reality, electroshock therapy, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation. Suddenly that naked chick in the cabinet makes more sense. Then there's the Stanford prison experiment, which is just ordinary people doling out extraordinary cruelty. In 1971, volunteers signed up for a psychological study of prison life, and overnight the selected guards shed their identities behind these identical uniforms. And the results were that people bend to cruelty when given a mask and a role. When you step into the Outlast Trials, you're transported to a 50s era asylum nightmare with clinical cells, peeling paint and rust-streaked walls, this nurse who casually doles out pills like room 1 flew over the cuckoo's nest, hallucinogenic effects, tentacle guys and bloody textures everywhere, and these broken, hollow-eyed subjects who blur the line between monster and victim. With such dark material to draw from, you can see that Red Barrels took these horrific experiments and just tuned them all up to 11. With all that in my mind, and let me tell you, that was a dark afternoon on Wikipedia, let's see if we can get some of it down on canvas as we paint Copper Hat Jack. So using William Defoe's facial structure, again, I'm really sorry man, I've sketched out Copper Hat Jack. If you take any tip from today's video, let it be this: if you can use a reference to help feed your own inspiration, go for it. I used Defoe to help me lay out the face, specifically those cheekbones, and it will hopefully add a sense of realism to it all. With a white pencil, I'm lightly sketching in all the highlights. It just helps me remember form as I paint, and gives me an idea where the light is hitting and where it's not. Now to the skin tone. I want good old Jack to be pasty, sort of sickly looking. He's been locked inside Murkoff for a long time, chasing noobs and muttering to himself, probably in Latin or something. So I went with ultramarine blue, burnt umber, yellow ochre, cadmium red, white, and finally burnt sienna for his copper hat. I'm mixing all of them together apart from the burnt sienna and then adding white, a lot of white. I want him to be super pale. That's pretty much the skin tone I use for all my portraits, maybe a bit of red or blue for cool or warm tones. But this is always the base. With Jack though, I want him to be almost grey, so I've added a bit more blue to proceedings. Dog, if you'd be so kind. One day. One day. I'm shading in the eye with the lightest skin tone and a touch of ultramarine and burnt umber. It's a ball, so I'm shading it as a sphere. The upper lid overhangs the eyeball, so slightly blurring the line where eyeball meets lid helps to add a three-dimensional aspect to it. I'm starting with his crazy eyes and I'm working out from there. It's how I've always painted portraits. I like to get them looking at me before I sort of build out the face. When painting the iris, it's good to think of it like a bowl. The side opposite the catch light is a little lighter than the other, where the light shines through the iris. So think of it as a bowl with a light coming in from one direction. I'm getting the rest of the eye in, and then I'll start on the other. This one is in deep shadow, so I don't have to worry about painting the tear duct. With both eyes in, I can start working out from there. Copper Hat Jack has seen some stuff, man, and I want his expression to let you know that. I'm putting in strokes that follow the direction of the bag under his eye. It helps with form and adds a nice bit of sag to below his eyeball. Directional brush strokes can do wonders for describing form, especially these little wrinkles and creases you get under the eye. I'm adding in his cheekbones now. Thanks again, Defoe. I want him to look a bit skeletal as it adds to the creepiness. Oh, I'm telling you man, Defoe's gonna sue. Touches of pure white help pull out the cheekbones. It's probably the only time I'll use pure white. For those protruding highlights, I'll do a pass towards the end that just adds little dabs of pure white wherever the light hits the most. Starting work on the nose now. Think of the tip of the nose like a ball. It's sort of round and you can shade it like you would a sphere. This doesn't work for every nose, but again it's a good base to start from. With the nose in, I can start thinking about that screaming mouth. I'm painting around the mouth first because I want to add these cracked lips. Our boy Jack doesn't hydrate, and I can work the cracks into the skin tone that's already down. Next, the teeth. Our boy doesn't know what a toothbrush is, so I'm painting his teeth a grey colour with yellow highlights. He's got some severe halitosis, but we love him still. Each tooth has a separate highlight. It gives them that illusion of being curved. And I wanted to add a few strings of saliva. I'm not saying Jack is a cannibal, but he's definitely thought about it. Now all his features are in, we can start work on the rest of the face. More dashes of pure white just to bring out the creases of the skin. A little goes a long way with this, so don't overdo it. His fleshy ear is next, followed by his neck, and then we can work on Jack's namesake, that copper hat. The burnt sienna does the heavy lifting here, adding a bit of white or a bit of blue just to give it that copper sheen. I've added a bunch of wires calling back to that electroshock treatment from MK Ultra, and the screw at the top that was inspired by the soy jack. Ugh, the very thought of that thing makes me shudder. And to bring it to life, I'm adding touches of really light paint, not white, just really light burnt sienna to give it a more metallic look. And finally we add in his shirt, that dirty hospital green colour. And that's the finished piece. Copper Hat Jack in all his glory. Quick note, I hung Jack on my bedroom wall to dry, and believe me when I say that's one hell of a sight to wake up to. Thanks for watching guys, and if you enjoyed this mashup of pixels and paint, consider liking and subscribing, and let me know what I should play then paint next in the comments below. Until next time, farewell.